2024 BMW M2 G87 in Zandvoort Blue with the full carbon pack, and the owner Aiden chose right by choosing it in manual. We're powered by the S58 engine. That's an inline-six 3-liter twin turbo, making 453 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Keep in mind that for the 2025 model year, one model year after this one, you make an additional 20 horsepower for 473 horsepower total. These are essentially the size and weight of prior M3s. As everything got larger, M3s and M4s are now bigger. Now the M2 is the size of prior gen M3s, but way heavier, 3,800 pounds. And the M3 is right around the same weight too. And it's like, where did all that mass hide? But anyways, similar weight. Getting into the interior, we have these carbon buckets, very nice. With that third pedal. And we have an active rear LSD that with the software, they allow you to make this thing a drift missile, but given the road today, higher speed sweepers, we're not really gonna be getting the sideways. Carbon fiber everywhere. Now in M mode, we're able to change driver assist as well as the gauges here. So sport, I like that. You get a much larger tack, although honestly I wish I just had kind of the analog traditional thing, easier to read at a quick glance. And then track. Looks very similar to sport mode actually, so and then track mode turns this off. You focus on just the display in front of you, but I think sport mode is fine for what we need. So we're going to keep it in sport. And M1 is everything is going to be soft, except gear shift is off, and then we'll transition to other modes shortly. Sitting nice and low, but I feel like this armrest is kind of high, and I'm going like this with the shifter rather than a more natural position. I'm sure you get used to that. Or I could alternatively move my seat up a bit, but then I feel like I'm too high in the car, so I'm going to go back down. I love how Aiden, the owner, made a couple adjustments. The first thing is that he disabled the active sound, so you don't have noise being piped through the cabin. And he's already set up his M1 to keep gear shift assistant off, which I appreciate. We don't need auto rev match. I want to rev match my own shifts. Otherwise, why would I get a manual? Pretty comfortable ride. Like this, an M1 can totally see myself daily driving something like this. Not too punishing. At least on these roads, I should say. Now M2, we're going to sportier. Actually put steering and brake sport as well. We got M traction at 4 out of 10. Dude, this thing is so capable. This thing is such a rocket. Slipped off the brakes there when doing my heel toe. Be careful with that. Not as much initial bite as I was expecting. I mean, compared to like M3s and M4s I've driven, I don't know if this is, I think this is totally stock brakes. We're on sport brakes as well. Huh, not as much immediate bite and firmness as I was expecting. BMW did such a great job setting this car up, even with the McPherson strut front suspension. You really got to push it hard to get this thing to wash out, and this car gets a lot of hate. A lot of people complain about various things, including the weight, including the looks. I think the looks aren't nearly as bad. Even when it first came out, I never thought that it was as bad as people were making it out to be. With the weight, you do get a lot of solidity to the feel, and actually very impressive engineering from BMW to make it manage its weight this well, but it still is a heavy car. It handles its weight well, but still quite porky for what the car is. Steering, as you expect on modern BMWs, is numb, it's dead. It's like a video game, except my sim rig at home with the direct drive wheel actually has a ton of feedback. I mean, more like old school video games where you're just kind of telling it what to do and it doesn't give you any feedback. But this power delivery is so smooth and effortless, and once you get it going, there's no turbo lag. I mean, sure, at lower revs there is, but here above 3K, I'm not having any issues. Yeah, once you start getting right around 3K, 3.5, then you're gonna notice it. But at that point, you can't really fault it. That's what you expect for a turbocharged engine. Get this air going a little bit faster. Digital controls. I don't know what these are. I'm trying to get some air on me. What's dynamic versus balanced? Gotta do this, otherwise my camera overheats. All right, and go back to setup. I do love how with these BMWs with the active dampers, when you change the setting, you notice a big difference. You're getting multiple personality to the vehicle. And here on this road, it's firm, but it's actually not punishing. They've tuned it quite well. What great etiquette. Thank you, good sir, or ma'am. Holy shit. The transmission here has that BMW rubberiness that you've grown to expect. Longer throws, but very easy to use. It's not a transmission you're gonna misshift. Very positive on gate entry with that rubbery feel. I would prefer slightly shorter throws. These are quite long and it also tilts a lot as you go second to fourth. Rev matching, even with this turbocharged engine, very natural. No issue with the throttle response at all. But I don't know, I have somewhat mixed feelings about this car. I think on one hand, it is so impressive from a performance perspective what BMW can engineer. And then on the other hand, I feel like I want to experience more. I want to feel something while I'm driving fast. I don't want the excitement just to be from the sheer sense of speed and saying, oh my God, look, I'm going so fast and that's exciting. I want to feel more communication. I want to feel more drama. And I'm sure that on the right, lower speed kind of turn and or on track especially, this car would come alive with its various oversteer nature, the active LSD and all these things that will make it come alive. But on canyons at these speeds, it's I'm a bit mixed. I think it handles its weight well, but it still is heavy and you still do feel the weight, although it is very impressive how it manages it. It feels lighter than it is. I don't get much from the steering. The transmission is okay to use. I don't fault it. If I were to get one, I could go either way. I'd probably go manual just because I love rowing my own gears in my sports cars. But if you were to go ZF 8-speed, those are also fantastic. But this is a car that's hard for me to really pin down and tell you, where does this fit in, right? In terms of price point, the performance is stupidly good. But then the question is, what else are you looking for in a car? And talking with Aiden, the owner, he was telling me that his Ford Mustang Mach 1 that he owned before this, that this replaced, it did feel a little bit more race car. It did feel far more communicative. And it's a trade-off, right? This is probably a much better daily, but you have to figure out what you want out of a vehicle. I think for a single dual-duty vehicle, you want to be comfortable and then also be able to rip it on track or in the canyons. This has a lot of benefits. It has a lot of things going for it. But if you love the way a car communicates and dances and speaks to you, then you might find this car lacking. My friends, let me know what you think of the G87 M2. Big thanks to Aiden, the owner, for letting me review his vehicle. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on jabalandcars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in the next one.